Sweat by Zora Neale Hurston. Read by Lisa M. Kendrick. It was 11 o'clock of a spring night in Florida. It was Sunday. Any other time, Delia Jones would have been in bed for 2 hours by this time. But she was a washwoman, and Monday morning meant a great deal to her. So she collected the soiled clothes on Saturday when she returned the clean things. Sunday night after church, she sorted them and put the white things to soak. It saved her almost a half a day's start. A great hamper in the bedroom held the clothes that she brought home. It was so much neater than a number of bundles lying all around. She squatted on the kitchen floor beside the great pile of clothes, sorting them into small heaps according to color, and humming a song in a mournful key, but wondering through it all where Sykes, her husband, had gone with her horse and buckboard. Just then, something long, round, limp, and black fell upon her shoulders and slithered to the floor beside her. A great terror took hold of her. It softened her knees and dried her mouth so that it was a full minute before she could cry out or move. Then she saw that it was a big bullwhip her husband liked to carry when he drove. She lifted her eyes to the door and saw him standing there, bent over with laughter at her fright. She screamed at him, "Sykes, would you throw that whip on me like that? You know it would scare me. Looks just like a snake, and you know how scared I is of snakes." "Course I know it. That's how come I done it." He slapped his leg with his hand and almost rolled on the ground in his mirth. "If you such a big fool that you gotta have a fit over a earthworm on a string, ain't don't care how bad I scared you. You ain't got no business doing it. God knows it's a sin. Someday I'm gonna drop dead from one of y'all foolishness. Another thing, where you been with the rig? I feeds that pony. He ain't for you to be driving with no bullwhip." "You sure is one aggravating woman," he declared, and stepped into the room. She resumed her work and did not answer him at once. "I done told you time and again to keep them white folks' clothes out of this house." He picked up the whip and glared down at her. Delia went on with her work. She went out into the yard and returned with a galvanized tub and set it on the workbench. She saw that Sykes had kicked all the clothes together again and now stood in her way, truculently, his whole manner hoping, praying for an argument. But she walked calmly round him and commenced to resort the things. "Next time, I'm gonna kick him outdoors," he threatened as he struck a match along the leg of his corduroy breeches. Delia never looked up from her work. Her thin, stooped shoulders sagged further. "I ain't no fuss tonight, Sykes. I just come from taking sacrament at the church house." He sniffed scornfully. "Yeah, you just come from the church house on a Sunday night, but here you is gonna work on them clothes. You ain't nothing but a hypocrite. One of them amen corner Christians saying whoop and shout and then come home and wash white folks' clothes on the Sabbath." He stepped roughly upon the whitest pile of things, kicking them helter-skelter as he crossed the room. His wife gave a little scream of dismay and quickly gathered them together again. "Sykes, you quit grinding dirt on these clothes. How come I get through by Saturday if I ain't done on start on Sunday?" "I don't care if you never get through. Anyhow, I done promised God and a couple of other men. Ain't gonna have it anymore in my house. Don't give me no lip either, else I'll throw 'em out and put my fist upside your head to boot." Delia's habitual meekness seemed to slip from her shoulders like a blown scarf. She was on her feet, her poor little body, her bare knuckly hands bravely defying that strapping hulk before her. "Look-a here, Sykes. You done gone too far. I've been married to you for 15 years, and I've been taking in washing for 15 years. Sweat, sweat, sweat. Work and sweat. Cry and sweat. Pray and sweat. What's that got to do with me?" he asked brutally. What's it got to do with you, Sykes? My tub of suds is filled your belly with victuals more times than your hands has filled it. My sweat is done paying for this house, and I reckon I can keep on sweating in it. She seized the iron skillet from the stove and struck a defensive pose, which act surprised him greatly coming from her. It cowed him, and he did not strike her as he usually did. "Nah, you won't," she panted. "That old snaggle-toothed woman you running out with, you come in here and pile up my sweat and blood. You ain't paying for nothing in this place. And I'm gonna stay right here till I'm toted out foot first." "Well, you better quit getting me riled up, else they'll be toting you out sooner than you expect. I'm so tired of you. I don't know what to do. God, how I hate skinny women." A little awed by this new Delia, he sidled out of the door and slammed the back gate after him. He didn't say where he'd gone, but she knew too well. She knew very well that he would not return until nearly daybreak also. Her work over, she went on to bed, but not to sleep at once. Things had come to a pretty pass. She lay awake, gazing up upon the debris that cluttered their matrimonial trail. Not an image left standing along the way. Anything like flowers had long ago been drowned in the salty stream that had been pressed from her heart, her tears, her sweat, her blood. She had brought love to the union, and he had brought a longing for the flesh. 2 months after the wedding, he had given her that first brutal beating. She had the memory of his numerous trips to Orlando with all of his wages when he had returned to her penniless, even before that first year had passed. She was young and soft then, but now she thought of her knotty, muscled limbs, her harsh, knuckly hands, and drew herself up into an unhappy little ball in the middle of the big feather bed. Too late now to hope for love. Even if it were not Bertha, it would be someone else. This case differed from the others only in that she was bolder than the others. Too late for everything except her little home. She had built it for her old days and planted one by one the trees and flowers there. It was lovely to her. Lovely. Somehow, before sleep came, she found herself saying out loud, "Oh well, whatever goes over the devil's back has got to come under his belly. Sometime or other, Sykes, like everybody else, is going to reap his sowing." After that, she was able to build the spiritual earthworks against her husband. His shells could no longer reach her. Amen. She went to sleep and slept until he announced his presence in bed by kicking her feet and rudely snatching the covers away. "Give me some cover here, and get your damn foots over your own side, and out of mashing your mouth for drawing that skillet on me." Delia went clear to the rail without answering him, a triumphant indifference to all that he was or did. The week was as full of work for Delia as all other weeks, and Saturday found her behind her little pony collecting and delivering clothes. It was a hot, hot day near the end of July. The village men on Joe Clark's porch even chewed cane listlessly. They did not hurl the cane knots as usual. They let them dribble over the edge of the porch. Even conversation had collapsed under the heat. "Here come Delia Jones," Jim Merchant said, as the shaggy pony came round the bend of the road toward them. The rusty buckboard was heaped with baskets of crisp, clean linen. "Yep," Joe Lindsay agreed. "Hot or cold, rain or shine, just as regular as the weeks roll round, Delia carries 'em and fetches 'em on Saturday." "She better if she want her eat," said Moss. "Sykes Jones ain't worth a shot of powder or a hit to kill him with." "No, he ain't." "He sure ain't," Walter Thomas chimed in. "It's too bad, too, 'cause she was a right pretty little trick when he got her. And I married him myself if he hadn't have beat me to it." Delia nodded briefly at the men as she drove past. "Too much knocking'll ruin any woman. He done beat enough to kill 3 women, let alone change their looks," said Elijah Mosley. "How Syke can stomach that big greasy mogul he layin' with gets me. I swear that 8 Rock couldn't kiss a sardine can and done throw it out the back the way last year. Aw, she's fat, that has come. He always been crazy about fat women, put in Merchant. He'd have been tied up with one a long time ago if he could have found one to have him. Did y'all hear about him sidling round my wife, bringing her a basket of pecans out of his yard for a present? Yeah, my wife. She told him to take him right straight back home because Delia worked so hard over that wash tub, she reckoned everything on the place tastes like soap suds. I just wish I'd have caught him round there. I'd have made his hips catch a fire down that shell road. I know he done it too. I sees him grin at every woman that passed, Walter Thomas said. But even so, he used to eat some mighty big hunks of a humble pie to get that little woman he got. She was as pretty as a speckled puppy. That was 15 years ago. He used to be so scared of losing her she could make him do some parts of a husband's duty. They never was the same in the mind. There ought to be a law about him, said Lindsay. He ain't fit to carry guts to a bear. Clark spoke for the first time. Tain't no law on earth that can make a man be decent if it ain't in him. There's plenty men that takes a wife like they do a joint of sugar cane. It's round, juicy, and sweet when they gets it, but they squeeze and grind and squeeze and grind and wring till they wring every drop of pleasure that's in them. When they satisfied that they is wrung dry, they treats them just like they do a cane chew. They throws them away. They knows what they doing is while they's at it and hates themselves for it, but they just keeps on hanging on after till she's empty. Then they hates her for being a cane chew and in the way. We ought to take Syke and that straw woman he on his way down to Lake Howell Swamp and lay that rawhide till they can't say, Lord of mercy. He always was an overbearing man, but since that woman from up north done teached him how to run an automobile, he got too biggity to live. We ought to kill him, Old Man Anderson advised. A grunt of approval went around the porch, but the heat was melting their civic virtue, and Elijah Mosley began to bait Joe Clark. Come on, Joe. Get a melon out of there and slice it up for your customers. We's all suffering with the heat. Do you hear? It done got me. That's right, Joe. A watermelon is just what I needs to cure these epizootics. Walter Thomas joined forces with Mosley. Come on there, Joe. We all is steady customers, and you ain't set us up in a long time. I chooses that long, bow-legged Floridy favorite. Oh, God, and be done. You all give me 20 cents and slice away, Clark retorted. I needs a cool slice myself. Hey, everybody chip in. All in y'all meat knife. The money was quickly subscribed, and the huge melon brought forth. At that moment, Sykes and Bertha arrived. A determined silence fell on the porch, and the melon was put away. Merchant snapped down the blade of his jackknife and moved toward the store door. Come on in, Joe, and give me a slab of sow belly and a pound of coffee. Almost forgot 'twas Saturday. Gotta get home. Most of the men left also. Just then Delia drove past on her way home, as Sykes was ordering magnificently for Bertha. It pleased him for Delia to see. Get whatsoever your heart desires, honey. Wait a minute, Joe. Give it 2 bottles of strawberry soda water, a quart of parched ground peas, and a block of chewing gum. With all this, they left the store, and Sykes reminding Bertha that this was his town, but she could have it if she wanted it. The men returned soon after they left and held their watermelon feast. Where did Sykes Jones get that woman from, nohow? Lindsay asked. Over Apopka? Guess they must have been cleaning out the town when she left. She don't look like a thing but a hunk of liver with hair on it. Well, she sure can squall, Dave Carter contributed. When she gets ready to laugh, she just opens her mouth and latches it back to Dilla's notch. Not old Grandpa Alligator down in Lake Bell ain't got nothing on her. Bertha had been in town 3 months now. Sykes was still paying her room and rent at Della Lewis, the only house in town that would take her in. Sykes took her frequently to Winter Park to stomps. He still assured her that he was the swellest man in the state. So you can have that little house soon as I can get that woman out of there. Everything belong to me, and you sure can have it. I sure abominates a skinny woman. Lordy, you sure has got one portly shape on you. You can get anything you want. This is my town, and you sure can't have it. Delia's work-worn knees crawled over the earth in Gethsemane and up the rocks of Calvary many, many times during those months. She avoided the villagers and meeting places in her efforts to be blind and deaf. But Bertha nullified this to a degree by coming to Delia's house to call Sykes to her at the gate. Delia and Sykes fought all the time now with no peaceful interludes. They slept and ate in silence. 2 or 3 times Delia had attempted a timid friendliness, but she was repulsed each time. It was plain that the breaches must remain a gap. The sun had burned July to August. The heat streamed down like a million hot arrows, smiting all things living upon the earth. Grass withered, leaves browned, snakes went blind in shedding, and men and dogs went mad. The dog days. Delia came home one day and found Sykes there before her. She wondered, but started to go on into the house without speaking, even though he was standing in the kitchen door and she must either stoop under his arm or ask him to move. He made no room for her. She noticed a soapbox beside the steps, but paid no particular attention to it, knowing that he must have brought it there. As she was stooping to pass under his outstretched arm, he pushed her backward laughingly. "Look in that box there, Delia. I done brung you something." She nearly fell upon the box in her stumbling, and when she saw what it held, she all but fainted outright. Sykes, my God! You take that rattlesnake away from here! You God, oh Jesus, have mercy. I ain't got to do nothing of the kind. Fact is, I ain't got to do nothing but die. Tain't no use of you putting on airs, making out like you scared of that snake. He's going to stay right here till he die. He wouldn't bite me, 'cause I knows how to handle him. Know how he wouldn't risk breaking out his fangs, gin you skinny legs. Now, Sykes, don't keep that thing round here to scare me to death. You knows I'm even afeard of earthworms. That's the biggest snake I ever saw. Kill it, Sykes. Please. Don't ask me to do nothing for you. Go around to be so damn astrosperious. No, I ain't gonna kill it. I think a damn sight more of him than you. That's a nice snake, and nobody done like him just hit the grit. The village soon heard that Sykes had the snake and came to see and ask questions. "How the henfire did you catch that 6-foot rattler, Sykes?" Thomas asked. "He's full of frogs, so he can't hardly move. That's how I eased up on him. But I'm a snake charmer and knows how to handle them. Shucks, that ain't nothing. I could catch one every day if I so wanted to. What he needs is a heavy hickory club lean real heavy on his head. That's the best way to charm a rattlesnake." "No, Walt, you just don't understand these diamondbacks like I do," said Sykes in a superior tone of voice. The village agreed with Walter, but the snake stayed. His box remained by the kitchen door with its screen wire covering. 2 or 3 days later, it had digested its meal of frogs and literally came to life. It rattled at every movement in the kitchen or the yard. One day, as Delia came down the kitchen steps, she saw his chalky white fangs, curved like scimitars, hung in the wire mesh. This time, she did not run away with averted eyes as usual. She stood for a long time in the doorway, in a red fury that grew bloodier for every second that she regarded the creature that was her torment. That night she broached the subject as soon as Sykes sat down to the table. "Syke, I want you to take that snake away from here. You done starved me and put up with her. You done beat me, and I took that. But you done kill all my insides bringing that vermin here." Sykes poured out a saucer full of coffee and drank it deliberately before he answered her. a whole lot of care about how you feels inside out. That snake ain't going no damn where till I gets ready for him to go. So, fur as beating is concerned, you ain't took near all dat you're gonna take if you stay round me. Delia pushed back her plate and got up from the table. I hates you, Sykes, she said calmly. I hates you to the same degree that I used to love you. I done took and took till my belly is full up to my neck. That's the reason. I got my letter from the church and moved my membership to Woodbridge, so I don't have to take no sacrament with you. I don't want to see you round me at all. Lay round with that woman all you wants to, but going away from me and my house. I hates you like a suck-egg dog. Sykes almost let the huge wad of cornbread and collard greens he was chewing fall out of his mouth in amazement. He had a hard time whipping himself up to the proper fury to try to answer Delia. Well, I'm glad you does hate me. I'm so tired of you hanging out of me. I don't want you. Look at your stringy old neck. Your raw-bony legs and arms is enough to cut a man to death. You look just like the devil's doll baby to me. You can't hate me no worse than I hates you, and I've been hating you for years. Your old hide didn't look like nothing to me, but a passel of wrinkled up rubber with your big old ears flopping on the side like buzzard wings. Don't think I'm going to be run from my house either. I'm going to the white folks about you, my young man. The very next time you'll lay your hands on me. My cup is done running over. Delia said this with no signs of fear, and Sykes departed from the house threatening her, but made not the slightest move to carry any of them out. That night he did not return at all, and the next day being Sunday, Delia was glad she did not have a quarrel before she hitched up her pony and drove the 4 miles to Woodbridge. She stayed to the night service love feast, which was very warm and full of spirit. In the emotional winds, her domestic trials were borne far and wide, so that she sang as she drove homeward. She came from the barn to the kitchen door and stopped. What's the matter, old Satan? You ain't kicking up your racket? She addressed the snake's box. Complete silence. She went on into the house with a new hope in its birth struggles. Perhaps her threat to go to the white folks had frightened Sykes. Perhaps he was sorry. 15 years of misery and suppression had brought Delia to the place where she could hope anything that looked towards a way over or through her wall of inhibitions. She felt in the match safe behind the stove at once for a match. There was only one there. That man wouldn't fetch nothing here to save his rotten neck, but he can run through what I brings quick enough. Now he done toted off nigh on half a box of matches. He done had that woman here in my house, too. Nobody but a woman could tell how she knew this even before she struck the match, but she did, and it put her into a new fury. Presently, she brought in the tubs to put the white things to soak. This time she decided she need not bring the hamper out of the bedroom. She would go in there and do the sorting. She picked up the pot-belly lamp and went in. The room was small, and the hamper stood hard by the foot of the white iron bed. She could sit and reach through the bedpost, resting as she worked. I want to cross Jordan in a calm time, she was singing again. The mood of the love fest had returned. She threw back the lid of the basket almost gaily. Then, moved by both horror and terror, she sprang back toward the door. There lay that snake in the basket. He moved sluggishly at first, but even as she turned round and round, jumped up and down in an insanity of fear, he began to stir vigorously. She saw him pouring his awful beauty from the basket upon the bed. Then she seized the lamp and ran as fast as she could to the kitchen. The wind from the open door blew out the light, and the darkness added to her terror. She sped to the darkness of the yard, slamming the door after her before she thought to set down the lamp. She did not feel safe, even on the ground, so she climbed up in the hay barn. There for an hour or more she lay, sprawled upon the hay, a gibbering wreck. Finally she grew quiet. And after that, coherent thought. With this stalked through her cold, bloody rage. Hours of this. A period of introspection, a space of retrospection, then a mixture of both. Out of this, an awful calm. Well, I done the best I could. If things ain't right, God knows 'tain't my fault. She went to sleep, a twitch sleep, and woke up to a faint gray sky. There was a loud, hollow sound below. She peered out. Sykes was at the woodpile, demolishing a wire-covered box. He hurried to the kitchen door, but hung outside there some minutes before he entered, and stood some minutes more inside before he closed it after him. The gray in the sky was spreading. Delia descended without fear now, and crouched beneath the low bedroom window. The drawn shade shut out the dawn, shut in the night, but the thin walls held back no sound. That old Scratch has woke up now, she mused at the tremendous whir inside, which every woodsman know is one of the sound's illusions. The rattler is a ventriloquist. His whir sounds to the right, to the left, straight ahead, behind, close underfoot, everywhere but where it is. Woe to him who guesses wrong, unless he is prepared to hold up his end of the argument. Sometimes he strikes without rattling at all. Inside, Sykes heard nothing until he knocked a pot lid off the stove while trying to reach the match safe in the dark. He had emptied his pockets at Bertha's. The snake seemed to wake up under the stove, and Sykes made a quick leap into the bedroom. In spite of the gin he had had, his head was clearing quickly. "My God," he chattered, "if I could only strike a light." The rattling ceased for a moment, and he stood paralyzed. He waited. It seemed that the snake waited also. Forget a light. I thought he'd be too sick." Sykes was muttering to himself when the whir began again, closer, right underfoot this time. Long before this, Sykes' ability to think had been flattened down to primitive instinct, and he leaped onto the bed. Outside, Delia heard a cry that might have come from a maddened chimpanzee, a stricken gorilla. All the terror, all the horror, all the rage that man possibly could express without a recognizable human sound. A tremendous stir inside there, another series of animal screams, the intermittent whir of the reptile, the shade torn violently down from the window, letting in the red dawn, a huge brown hand seizing the window stick, great dull blows upon the wooden floor, punctuating the gibberish of sound long after the rattle of the snake had abruptly subsided. All this Delia could see and hear from her place beneath the window, and it made her ill. She crept over to the 4 o'clocks and stretched herself on the cool earth to recover. She lay there. "Delia! Delia!" She could hear Sykes calling in a most despairing tone as one who expected no answer. The sun crept on up, and he called, but Delia could not move. Her legs had gone flabby. She never moved. He called. The sun kept rising. "My God!" she heard him moan. "My God from heaven!" She heard him stumbling about and got up from her flower bed. The sun was growing warm. As she approached the door, she heard him call out hopefully, "Delia, is that you? Are you here?" She saw him on his hands and knees as soon as she reached the door. He crept an inch or two toward her, all that he was able, and she saw his horribly swollen neck and his one open eye shining with hope. A surge of pity, too strong to support, bore her away from that eye that could not fail to see the tubs. He could see the lamp. Orlando with its doctors was way too far. She could scarcely reach the chinaberry tree where she waited in the growing heat, while inside she knew a cold river was creeping up and up to extinguish that eye, which must know by now that she knew